Boys and Girls Club is the largest youth-serving organization in the country, and Rock the Bells exists to elevate hip-hop culture. You know, my hope for this is that you inspire people that you can be in and around something you're passionate about. You can have a career in hip-hop culture that doesn't necessarily tie to music. You could be an accountant, you could be a lawyer, you could be a manager, you could be an architect. All those things can tie to a passion or be adjacent to a passion point and live within hip hop culture, because hip hop culture is pervasive. You don't have to be a hip hop artist or a rapper in order to have a career that's touching something you're passionate about.
Welcome, 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 everyone. Everyone have a seat, get your chips, your water. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tuffy Questel, AKA Just Tuffy. I am a casting director and a co-host from Video Music Box for many years. Everyone to my left, this is family, including Miss Fennel, Ceresia. I want you all to know that name and make sure you hashtag it properly on your way home. Take some pictures with her. She is our future. She is our great future. She's present though. Now come on, you're dope. I know who you are. Her writing is bananas. Grandmaster Flash. Come on, y'all.
Let's go.
Legend. D-Nice. Legend. Amadeus. Legend. I'm sitting here with legends. They are icons, and thank God they are still here doing what we love them to do. Music, artistry. They are my comrades in art. Flash, who was your influence? Who was your biggest influence growing up in the game? Who did you look forward to, or who spoke to you that gave you your influence to come to where you are today?
My father was an avid collector of records, and the rules of the house was, don't go in that closet where them records was, right? And as a toddler, I was very intrigued with how he would take the black disc and put it into the brown box, and sound would come out of this brown box, and I watched him do that repeatedly. And when he would go to work and I heard the door slam, I would grab a chair, turn the knob, grab a black disc, go into the living room, put the black disc in the brown box. As I watched him do it repeatedly, I did what he did, and I used to get, we're in a Boys and Girls Club, but I'll use the word reprimanded for doing that. And then just to move forward, I found a scientific way to extract the drum beat from duplicate copies of vinyl. And in doing this, I extended the drum break of the record that was possibly 10 seconds, and I kind of cut and pasted manually by reversing the record constantly over and over in one particular area. This particular bed of music became the music bed for human beings to speak on. Today, they call it rap. I did this 47 years ago.
The mic has been dropped. What's your nickname?
Reese.
Reese. I'm calling her Reese. How has hip hop influenced you?
Oh man, I was actually talking to one of the producer Snipes in the green room earlier. It made me want to be a singer. Made me want to be on those records. I don't have a great singing voice, but I thought that I was going to be a songwriter. And so I came through that through poetry. And that kind of inspired me basically for all of my writing. So I can't sing, but my writing sings.
So you are sitting with three amazing producers. That guy with the hat, D-Nice, is doing ridiculous things right now with his music. Derek, please tell us a little about your journey. What inspired you coming from the Bronx?
One of the guys that's here right now was our manager Mo. He used to manage KRS-One and myself and our group Boogie Down Productions. And the funny story is, I met them. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from around here. You know, like I grew up on Woody Crest Avenue near Yankee Stadium. And I spent a lot of time on this side because Scotty and KRS-One, who was the lead rapper in my group, he actually lived in a men's shelter called Franklin Men's Shelter, which is not far from here. And DJ Scott LaRock, who started our group, was a social worker at the men's shelters. How I met those guys was my cousin was a security guard at this men's shelter. Scotty at the time, he was a security guard at the shelter as well. And I was like 15 years old, and I used to spend a lot of time writing songs in the bathroom because I shared an apartment with my great-grandmother, my cousin Vanessa. She was like 19. It was really her apartment, and her son. And my great-grandmother and I slept in the living room. We slept on sofas like opposite each other. You know, it's full of love. It's the house that we had, and it was great. I thought I was gonna be a chef growing up. So my cousin asked me to bring him some food. I prepared a small meal. I was like 15, and I walked from where we lived on Woody Crest to where the men's shelter is on this side of town, which is probably like a 3-mile walk. And when I walked into the shelter to see my cousin, he introduced me to Scotty. He introduced me to KRS-One, who lived there, and he also introduced me to DJ Scott LaRock. And you know, he said to Scott, like, my cousin's a rapper. I wasn't a rapper then. I was obsessed with New Edition. I was trying to write R&B songs, which is probably why I play so much R&B in my sets. But anyway, I kind of walked into this opportunity. I know it was all divine. It was a blessing. But like I said, my source of inspiration were those guys. They believed in me. You know, I was 15 years old, and they all just kind of like took me under their wings. Like each and every one of them taught me something different. You know, KRS taught me how to rap. You know, Scott LaRock taught me how to do that thing that you did 47 years ago, to find the breakbeat. So I learned all elements of hip hop from those guys, you know, and they will forever be my inspiration.
I gotta say, Amadeus, watching your face while Derek was telling that story made me think that you were reminiscing. So I would like to know what you were thinking about, and then you're gonna tell us about, you know, how you got into the game as being the award-winning producer you are.
So I'm a lot younger, but my parents had that brown box with the discs, you know, that the legends are speaking of. And I did the same thing. You know, when it was my turn to mess with my dad's record player, it was cassette tapes. You know, so I had cassette tapes and stuff like that, and I definitely scratched a few records. And the same thing that happened to the legend Flash happened to me, reprimanded. You know what that means. And in regards to production, you know, I was still to this day, a Puff Daddy fan. I know he has a bunch of different names. So back then it was Puff Daddy, now it's Diddy, now it's Love. But I used to wear my hair like his. I used to have the shades. I used to have the part in the center. They used to call me Young Puff at school. I went to Cardinal Hayes High School, and it was that bad. But I was really inspired by his look, his vision, because he gave us the Notorious B.I.G., he gave us Faith Evans, he gave us Mace, all of these amazing artists. And I was like, I want to make beats and I want to create music like him, but I want to be fly while I do it at the same time, right? And of course I was a church boy, so the fly part I had, because I had to wear suits and I had to dress up to go to school every day. So I thought I had the fly part, so it was just about working on the music.
Okay, there are young people here, and there are young people who will see this later. What is a piece of advice from each of you? What would you say to a young person who might not even know who you are? What would you say about your career, your journey, and what word of strength would you give them?
I can go first because I'm the only woman on this panel.
You can go.
And as the only woman on this panel, I want to say to you, you are always going to be told no. You're going to be closed out of several spaces. And if you are a girl of color, tack that onto it. It gets really, really hard. So don't take no for an answer. Don't let people tell you that you can't do the thing that you want to do. You're going to go out and do it anyway. And if you don't have the resources, there is something called using other people's money, which is something I learned and I love doing. So there are things like crowdfunding, kickstarting, Indiegogo. There's a way, okay? So you use other people's money if you don't got money like me, if you come from the hood. Okay, I did not have a family filled with dollars to get me where I am today. And so once I was in those doors, I, networked and connected to people, because once you're in, you're in. Don't let anybody kick you out. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. There are going to be moments where you're going to cry. There are going to be moments where you're going to be like, I'm not good enough, this isn't for me, I don't know why I'm doing it. Don't listen to that. If you have dreams, stick to it and get to work.
Young people, you're born with your mission and your passion in you. Sometimes you find it when you're very young. Sometimes you find it middle-aged. Sometimes you find it when you're older. But your passion and what you're here for is already in you. For me, I was told, why are you putting your fingertips on that vinyl? And why is it this particular area of the song? Why aren't you letting the whole song play? It's never gonna happen. Nobody's gonna believe in it. It's stupid. I remember when I first went out in the parks with my makeshift sound system and people were like, what the hell is he doing? And how is he doing that? I was ridiculed, called all kinds of names. How dare you? It's blasphemy to put your fingertips on this precious vinyl. And being told that, something inside me said, there's something here that I'm doing. It's something, it's drawing people. And when you are an inventor of something, there's two things that could happen. It could be, this is terrible, and you could take your whole life and nobody's feeling it. And then there's that little crack of light that says, the people are saying, what is this? What is this? Drove me to keep doing this. I had no clue what it was going to do the next day. There was no plan, no plot that this thing that I do with my fingertips would be the major pillars of what hip hop is built on. Didn't have a clue. All I had was my internal belief, because see, we're all born with gifts. And this is what you have to remember. And your gift is always talking to you. It's always tapping you on your shoulder. When we gonna get this started? When we gonna get this done? Sometimes we take time doing life, doing this and that, and it's still tapping you on your shoulder and it's saying, when are you going to get this done? The unfortunate thing is sometimes we die with the music in us. So I say to you, young people, you already have the gift in you. And this particular gift that you have, if you expound on it, I promise you, it'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Whew. Man, one. I don't know how to follow that.
What you could do.
No, I mean, I was actually asked this question recently by someone younger. She was like 20 years old, and she asked me, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? And I thought about it for a minute, and the only thing that kept coming to mind was, one day it'll all be worth it. That's what I just kept saying to myself. And when I said that to her, like, she lit up, like, and when I explained to her why, you know, I grew up like many of the kids that will probably attend, you know, the Boys and Girls Club. I never went to the Boys and Girls Club because I didn't know much about it. And, you know, I love my family, love my mother. I don't really have a relationship with my father. The people that looked out for me were other people that were in, you know, that I grew up around. You know, sometimes it was the people that hung out on the corners. They wouldn't allow me to do anything crazy because they believed in me. So they wouldn't allow me to sell drugs, or they wouldn't allow me to, you know. But the other thing that they didn't do was they didn't get in my way either. So no one told me don't climb the tree. I would just go and climb the tree. If I fell and hurt myself, it was because I was curious. And that same curiosity lives in me, you know, till this day. Like, that's how I live my life. If there's something that interests me, you know, it's something I'm interested in, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna learn about it. I'll read about it. You know, recent times when I started doing my Instagram Live, there are a couple of things that I learned from that. One, being kind to people goes a long way. The only reason why I was able to do what I was doing was because I was kind to someone who I had no idea he worked at the company, and I was just kind to him. And a year later, that just because I was kind to him, he made sure that I did something that was because he knew that I was doing it to inspire the world, to keep people dancing. So being kind, man, kindness will take you a long way. Kindness will take you a long way. So my advice to everyone, or to the young kids in here, is, you know, just to know that no matter what you're going through, one day it will all be worth it. And while you're doing that and you're on that journey, be kind to people.
That's excellent.
Now I'm supposed to follow after all this. I'm from 169th and Washington Avenue.
9.
The 9. Where I'm from, I'm not supposed to be sitting up here talking to you. Where I'm from, I'm not supposed to be in the position that I'm in. Where I'm from, I'm supposed to be dead, locked up in jail, gang-related, doing all of the wrong things, right? And they painted this picture for me. This is all you're gonna be. So the point I'm making is, I'm from the bottom, right? But we can't allow that to be an excuse of why we're not great. Here's the cool part. Banging on tables in the lunchrooms, getting in trouble, getting attention, turned into, from the Bronx to Africa to Japan to Australia to all those places. I know that's cool, but this moment right here is what I'm passionate about. This is what else I'm passionate about. Because for some of y'all, this is all of the positive message and the positive energy and the love you're gonna get. When you go home, you might not get none of this. You might not even have a home to go to. You might not have parents that push and believe you and believe in you, but we do. We look just like you. We've been from what you've been through. And honestly, a lot of y'all have it a lot more challenging than we do. We didn't have social media and the internet and all of these different influences. It was just what we saw in front of us, right? So I'll end with this. I turned, and this is all of us, nothing into something. So I want to encourage every single one of y'all to chase your dreams, go after your dreams. It's going to be hard. It's going to be no's. The no might come from your parents. No might come from your loved ones. Take that no and let that be fuel to your fire. That's it.
Man, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, first of all, Amadeus was reading everything in my brain for the last 3.5 minutes. We are talking to the kids, but everybody here is a kid. Doesn't matter your age. Still dream. Stay a dreamer. Don't let your dreams go. Ever. Does anybody have any questions? I see you. Go ahead.
My name is Isaac. I'm the YY ambassador for the clubhouse. I have a question for Ms. Fano. What inspired you to create the Bronx's Reading Organization?
You know, being from the Bronx, this is the poorest county, right? That's what everybody thinks about when they hear the Bronx, right? And they think that people here don't read. I work in the book publishing industry, and I've tried to bring authors here for years. And, you know, I would always be told, no, I think we're going to go to Brooklyn. We're going to go to Manhattan. You know, we're going to do the Barnes & Noble at 14th Street, Union Square, which is still a pain point for me. So they would never travel uptown. And I just got really annoyed and said, you know what? I can't talk about what I said to all of you, right? Don't take no for an answer. And I said, I'm going to prove to the publishing people that the Bronx is where it's at, right? This is where they need to be sending people. Because when I was in school, I never had an author come and visit me. So I didn't even know I could write a book. I didn't know I could work in the publishing industry. I honestly didn't even know what it was until I was in college, about to graduate. I wanted to be an English teacher. And my advisor was like, Cericia, you really love books. Why don't you work in the book publishing industry? And I was like, what is that? Does it even exist? I have no, like, how do I get there? What do I do to get in? Do I only have to be an editor? Can I do something else? And so I work for the publicity department. I get to read books, work with creatives, and, do events like this, have them speak on panels, meet people like you, sign books and stuff like that. And it's been the most rewarding experience. And so I wanted the people in my community to experience that too. Why do you have to leave the Bronx to go meet somebody in Manhattan, right? Why can't they come here?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Destiny. I have a question for Amadeus. What was your motivation for you to achieve your dream?
I mean, besides the love and the passion for it, I think it was all of those people that laughed at me. I think it was all of those people that told me no when they heard my dreams, you know what I mean? So it's a mixture of me loving music, but then wanting to prove everybody wrong. And not from a revenge standpoint, right? But more from a spiritual standpoint. Because if you don't try and you don't fall and bump your head and mess up, how do you learn, right? So all of that is a part of your process. All of that is a part of your story.
Good evening. My question is for Tuffy. By the way, my name is Shamaya. What important life lessons have you learned so far?
To be honest, in my pursuit, I'm not always going to be perfect. I'm not always going to make the best decisions, but I have to trust my instinct. I have to trust my process, and I have to still believe in myself even when I'm told no. Danny DeVito's a famous actor. He was told 214 times that he was too short, too unattractive, could not act, smelled funny. He talks about it all the time. 214 times to be told no, and a lot of different ugly ways. And he still became a successful actor, director, producer, and writer. No does not mean never. Keep pushing forward. I'm not done. I am in my 50s. My mother and father are retired. My daughter is 13 and thinks she owns me, which she does, but I won't admit that to her. But I take everything as fire to move forward.
Hi, my name is Kaya, and my question is for DJ D Nice. What inspired you to start Club Quarantine?
So I was inspired to play music, Club Quarantine, because all of my gigs were canceled. And, when you work in this business, that's the one thing that you live for, your shows. And to make it even more deeper for you, you receive deposits, you receive money from your clients to hold the date. And in one day, I had to send back most of the money that was sent to me to hold the date for these shows. And I became extremely frustrated. I was trying to figure out what life was gonna be like after this was over. They told us in the beginning that the pandemic was gonna be 3 weeks. Yeah, we can survive 3 weeks, but when you hear about 2 years of not working, it was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm a DJ. My life is playing music all over the world. So I started playing music on Instagram because I was still just trying to find a way to stay connected to people. I wasn't DJing at that point. I was just playing music and sharing stories. So I would play a song and talk about how I may have produced that record, or I would play the original sample. And it was like 200 and something people in there, and the people that were there were the ones. She's like, yes, I was there. The people were pretending to be in a club. Yeah, so Club Quarantine technically wasn't started by me. It was really started by the people. They were pretending to be in a club, and hey, I'm gonna send you, hey, I'm on the guest list. Can somebody let me in? They're not letting me in the door. And I just kept playing music, like she knows. I just kept playing music because it was fun. It was funny. It felt like I was there with people, and I just continued it. And then, by day 3, I decided that it was time to actually DJ and not just play songs and share stories. Another DJ friend of ours by the name of DJ Clark Kent said, hey man, I think what you're doing is great. You should actually DJ now. So Club Quarantine, as much as I get, a lot of credit for doing it, it was inspired by the people You know, the people, like I said earlier, Rebecca would call and tell me, hey, the music's too loud, you got to turn it down. Or Clark Kent would call and say, hey, you should actually DJ. So it wasn't just my idea. It was all of us coming together trying to figure out how to make something and how to do something special to keep everyone inspired.
How you doing? My name is Marcus. My question is for Amadeus. How did going to church in your early years of life motivated your music career?
Man, it's everything. And I got to give a big shout out to my late and great Bishop and Pastor Michelle White. She was the one, I don't know how old I was, but I went to her church and heard the band and heard the choir. And before that, I used to get forced to go to church. But when I came in and heard that music, I was like, this is where I wanted to be. It's